The fluorescent lights of County General Hospital buzzed overhead as Brianna Thompson pressed her forehead against the cold wall of the corridor. Her beautiful dark skin was streaked with dried tears, her red blouse wrinkled from hours of worry. In her trembling hands, she clutched a stack of medical bills that might as well have been a death sentence. $30,000. That was the cost of the treatment her 8-year-old daughter Sophia needed. $30,000 she didn't have. Would never have. Mrs. Thompson? A nurse in bright blue scrubs approached with sympathetic eyes. I'm sorry, but without payment or insurance approval, we can't schedule Sophia's surgery. You'll need to. The words faded into white noise. Brianna felt the world tilt sideways. Sophia was in room 304, her sweet face pale against white pillows, her kidneys failing slowly, and there was nothing Brianna could do. She'd already maxed out 2 credit cards, borrowed from everyone she knew, and sold everything of value. Yesterday she'd received the eviction notice. 3 days to vacate their apartment. This morning her 15-year-old Honda had finally died in the hospital parking lot. I understand, Brianna whispered, though she didn't understand at all. How could the world be so cruel? How could money matter more than a child's life? She stumbled toward the elevator, needing air, needing space to fall apart where Sophia couldn't see. In her hand was a cup of coffee from the vending machine, stone cold now. She didn't even remember buying it. Her vision blurred with fresh tears as she turned the corner. The collision happened in slow motion. One moment she was walking, the next she was crashing into someone tall and solid. The coffee cup flew from her hands, its contents splashing across an expensive gray suit. Brianna gasped, horror replacing grief for just a moment. Oh my God, I'm so sorry, she babbled, trying to wipe at the spreading stain with her bare hands. The man wore a suit that probably cost more than her rent. His watch gleamed silver in the harsh hospital lighting. I wasn't looking, I didn't see you, please, I'm so sorry. It's fine, a deep voice said calmly. Really, it's just coffee. Brianna looked up into the face of the man she just assaulted with cafeteria coffee. He was tall, probably in his late 30s, with light brown hair touched with gray at the temples. His blue eyes were kind despite the coffee dripping down his jacket. White skin, strong jaw, the kind of face you'd see in a business magazine. Everything about him screamed wealth and power, from his polished shoes to the way he carried himself. It's not fine, Brianna said, her voice breaking. Nothing is fine. I just ruined your suit and I can't even afford to replace it because I can't afford anything. I can't afford to save my daughter and I can't afford rent and my car is dead in your parking lot and I'm so sorry, I shouldn't be dumping this on a stranger but I can't. The words tumbled out in a rush, grief and panic and exhaustion all mixed together. She was crying again, right there in the middle of the hospital corridor, in front of this wealthy stranger whose suit she'd destroyed. She wanted to die from embarrassment but she was too tired to care. Sit down, the man said gently, guiding her to a nearby bench. Please just breathe for a moment. Brianna sat because her legs wouldn't hold her anymore. She buried her face in her hands, shoulders shaking with sobs she'd been holding back for weeks. She felt the stranger sit beside her, not touching, just present. Tell me about your daughter, he said after a long moment. And somehow Brianna did. She told him about Sophia, about her bright smile and her love of drawing, about how she never complained even when the pain was bad. She told him about the kidney disease, the failed treatments, the surgery that could save her life if only Brianna could afford it. She told him about the eviction notice, the broken car, the credit card debt that kept her up at night. I've worked 3 jobs, Brianna said, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand. I've done everything right. I went to college, I worked hard, I saved every penny. But it's never enough. The system isn't built for people like me. One medical emergency and everything falls apart. I don't know what to do anymore. I don't know how to save her. The stranger was quiet for a long moment. Then he pulled out his phone and made a call. Patricia, I need you to do something for me. I'm at County General Hospital. There's a patient here named Sophia Thompson. I need you to contact the billing department and pay her medical bills in full. All of them. And schedule whatever surgery she needs. Yes, immediately. Use my personal account. He paused. No, Patricia, this isn't negotiable. Just do it. Brianna stared at him, her brain unable to process what she'd just heard. What did you just do? I paid for your daughter's treatment, he said simply, tucking his phone back into his pocket. She'll have her surgery and you won't owe a penny. But you don't even know me, Brianna whispered. You don't know us. Why would you? My mother died when I was 10, he said quietly. Breast cancer. We couldn't afford the treatment that might have saved her. I watched her fade away because we didn't have enough money, because the hospital needed payment plans and insurance approvals and all the bureaucratic nonsense that stands between people and the help they need. I swore that if I ever had the means, I would never let another child lose their parent that way. And I would never let another parent lose their child. Brianna felt her heart crack open. This stranger, this wealthy man in his coffee-stained suit, had just saved Sophia's life. Just like that. No questions asked, no strings attached. I can't accept this, she said automatically, even though every fiber of her being was screaming at her to take the help. It's too much. I could never repay you. You don't have to repay me, he said. But I do have a proposition for you if you're willing to hear it. Brianna nodded, unable to speak past the lump in her throat. My name is Christopher Reed, he said, extending his hand. And I have an unusual offer to make. I'd like to grant you 3 wishes. Anything you want, within reason. In return, I ask that you grant me 3 wishes as well. Nothing illegal, nothing harmful, just 3 things I need help with. Why? Brianna asked. Why would you do this? Christopher looked at her with those kind blue eyes. Because I have more money than I could spend in 10 lifetimes, and it doesn't make me happy. Because I see you fighting for your daughter with everything you have, and that's worth more than any business deal I've ever made. Because my mother would have wanted me to help when I can. So, Brianna Thompson, do we have a deal? Brianna thought about Sophia upstairs, thought about the eviction notice, thought about all the nights she'd prayed for a miracle. Here it was, standing in front of her in a coffee-stained suit. She knew she should be cautious, should question his motives, should protect herself from potential danger. But something in his eyes told her he was sincere. And besides, what choice did she really have? Yes, she said, taking his hand. We have a deal. Christopher smiled, the first genuine smile she'd seen from him. Good. Now, let's go tell Sophia that she's going to get her surgery. And then we'll talk about your other 2 wishes. As they walked toward the elevator, Brianna felt something she hadn't felt in months. Hope. Maybe miracles did exist. Maybe kindness wasn't dead in the world. Maybe, just maybe, everything was going to be okay. She didn't know it yet, but this chance encounter would change her life in ways she couldn't imagine. And Christopher's first wish, when he finally revealed it, would stun her more than anything she'd ever experienced. Have you ever had a moment where a stranger's kindness changed everything? When life feels impossible and you're ready to give up, could you accept help from someone you don't know? Drop a comment below with your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe to see how Brianna's story unfolds. Will Christopher's wishes be as simple as they seem, or is there more to this billionaire than meets the eye? The next morning, Brianna woke up in the hospital chair beside Sophia's bed and wondered if yesterday had been a dream. But no, there was the proof. Her daughter was sleeping peacefully, color already returning to her cheeks. The surgery was scheduled for tomorrow morning. The bills were paid. All of them. A soft knock on the door made her look up. Christopher Reed stood in the doorway, no longer wearing the coffee-stained suit. Today he wore dark jeans and a green button-down shirt, looking less like a businessman and more like a regular person. In his hands was a tray with 2 cups of coffee and a bag from a local bakery. I brought breakfast, he said quietly, not wanting to wake Sophia. Real coffee this time, not the hospital kind. And blueberry muffins if that's okay. You didn't have to do that, Brianna said, but she accepted the coffee gratefully. She couldn't remember the last time someone had brought her breakfast. I wanted to talk to you about our arrangement, Christopher said, settling into the other chair. Now that you've had time to think about it, I want to make sure you understand what I'm proposing. Brianna sipped her coffee. It was perfect, cream and 2 sugars, though she'd never told him how she liked it. Lucky guess, probably. 3 wishes each, she said. But I need to understand something first. Why me? Why this arrangement? You could have just paid for Sophia's surgery and walked away. You don't owe me anything else. Christopher was quiet for a moment, staring at his own coffee cup. 5 years ago, I married the love of my life. Her name was Rachel. She was a teacher, kind and funny and full of life. We were married for 3 years before she got sick. Brain tumor, inoperable. I had all the money in the world, access to the best doctors, every possible treatment, but none of it mattered. I lost her anyway. Brianna felt her heart squeeze with sympathy. I'm so sorry. After she died, I threw myself into work, Christopher continued. I built my company bigger, made more money, closed more deals. But none of it meant anything. I was just going through the motions, day after day, and I couldn't remember why I was doing any of it. Then yesterday, I came to this hospital to visit the children's wing. My company donates to it every year, and I make an annual appearance to hand over a check. Standard corporate charity work. He looked at Brianna, then really looked at her. And then I met you. You were falling apart in that corridor, but you still apologized for spilling coffee on me. You were devastated, but you still had fight in you. You reminded me of my mother, of the way she never gave up even when things were impossible. And I realized that I'd been so focused on making money that I'd forgotten why money matters in the first place. It matters because it can help people. It can change lives. It can give hope where there was none. So this arrangement, Brianna said slowly, it's not really about the wishes, is it? It's about both of us getting something we need, Christopher said. You need help and I need a purpose. You need resources and I need to remember what it feels like to do something that matters. So yes, 3 wishes each. I'll grant you 3 things you need and you'll grant me 3 things I need. But I promise you, Brianna, my wishes won't hurt you or your daughter. They won't put you in danger or ask you to compromise who you are. Brianna studied his face. He looked sincere, tired around the eyes but genuine in his expression. Okay, she said. But we should probably write this down, make it official somehow. Christopher pulled out his phone and opened a note. Let's document it here. Wish number 1, paid medical treatment for Sophia. Complete. What's your second wish? Brianna thought about the eviction notice burning a hole in her purse. A stable place to live, she said. And a job that pays enough to support us. I don't want charity forever, Christopher. I want to be able to stand on my own 2 feet. I want to provide for my daughter without constant fear of the bottom falling out. Done, Christopher said, typing into his phone. I own several apartment buildings in the city. There's a 2-bedroom unit available in a building near a good school district. It's yours rent-free for the first year. After that, we can set up a payment plan based on what you can afford. As for the job, my company has a community outreach program that needs a director. Someone who understands what it's like to struggle, who can connect with the people we're trying to help. The salary is $80,000 a year, plus benefits and health insurance. Are you interested? Brianna felt tears prick her eyes again. $80,000 was more than she'd ever made in her life. It was security, stability, the ability to give Sophia everything she needed. Yes, she said, her voice thick with emotion. Yes, I'm interested. But Christopher, I don't have experience running programs. What if I'm not good at it? You'll learn, he said simply. And you'll have support. My assistant Patricia is excellent at training new employees. Trust me, you're more qualified than you think. You've been managing 3 jobs and a sick child. You know how to organize, prioritize, and get things done under pressure. That's exactly what we need. Brianna felt something shift inside her chest. Hope, real and solid and tangible. Thank you, she whispered. You don't know what this means to us. I think I do, Christopher said gently. Now that's 2 wishes granted. You have 1 more. Take your time deciding what it is. There's no rush. What about your wishes? Brianna asked. Don't you want to tell me what you need? Not yet, Christopher said. First, let's get Sophia through her surgery. Then we'll talk about the apartment and your new job. My wishes can wait until you're settled and ready to hear them. Over the next few days, Brianna watched Christopher's promises become reality. Sophia's surgery went perfectly. The doctors said she would make a full recovery with proper care and medication. Christopher arranged for the best pediatric nephrologist in the city to oversee her treatment. He never asked for thanks, never made a big show of his generosity. He just made things happen quietly and efficiently. On the day Sophia was discharged, Christopher drove them to their new apartment in his modest sedan. Brianna had expected something flashy, but he drove a simple Toyota, only a few years old. I thought billionaires drove fancy cars, Sophia said from the backseat. She'd taken an immediate liking to Christopher, calling him Mr. Chris. Some do, Christopher said with a smile. But I'd rather spend money on things that matter. Like getting you and your mom settled into your new home. The apartment was beautiful. 2 bedrooms, a modern kitchen, large windows that let in plenty of natural light. It was furnished simply but comfortably, with a blue couch in the living room and a small dining table. In Sophia's room, there was a bed with a bright red comforter and a desk for homework. This is ours. Sophia asked, her eyes wide with wonder. This is yours, Christopher confirmed. For as long as you need it. That night, after Sophia was asleep in her new bed, Brianna and Christopher sat in the living room drinking tea. The silence was comfortable, peaceful. I start work on Monday, Brianna said. I'm nervous. You'll do great, Christopher assured her. Patricia will meet you at 9. She'll show you around, introduce you to the team, explain the program goals. It's going to be fine. Christopher, Brianna said, setting down her teacup. I need to know. What are your 3 wishes? What do you need from me? Christopher looked at her for a long moment, his blue eyes serious. Are you sure you're ready to hear them? Yes, Brianna said even though her heart was beating fast. I made a deal. I want to hold up my end of it. All right, Christopher said. He took a deep breath. My first wish is going to sound strange, but I need you to hear me out. I don't want business advice or social connections. I don't need you to work extra hours or make any sacrifices. What I need is much simpler and much harder. Tell me, Brianna said quietly. Christopher met her eyes. I want you to teach me how to be happy again. I want you to show me how to live a life that matters, how to find joy in ordinary things, how to feel something other than numb. I've been going through the motions for 2 years, Brianna. I work, I sleep, I go through my days like a robot. I don't laugh, I don't enjoy anything, I don't feel alive. But when I'm with you and Sophia, I feel something starting to thaw inside me. So that's my first wish. Teach me how to be happy again. Brianna stared at him, completely stunned. Of all the things she'd imagined he might ask for, this wasn't even on the list. She'd expected requests about business or publicity or using her story for his company's image. But this was raw and vulnerable and deeply personal. You want me to teach you happiness? She repeated, making sure she understood correctly. I know it sounds impossible, Christopher said. But if anyone can do it, I think it's you. You've been through hell, Brianna. You've faced things that would break most people. And yet, you still smile at your daughter. You still find reasons to hope. You still have kindness left in your heart, even for strangers who spill coffee on you. That's what I need to learn. That's what I've lost. Brianna felt tears in her eyes for what felt like the 100th time this week. But these weren't tears of despair or fear. These were tears of understanding. This powerful, wealthy man was just as lost as she had been. Money couldn't buy happiness or heal grief. He'd saved her life, and now he was asking her to save his. Okay, she said softly. I don't know if I'll be any good at it, but I'll try. I accept your first wish. Christopher's shoulders sagged with relief. Thank you. You have no idea what that means to me. When do we start? Brianna asked. Whenever you're ready, Christopher said. There's no timeline, no pressure. Just when you have time and energy to spare. How about Saturday? Brianna suggested. Sophia and I usually go to the park. You could come with us. It's nothing fancy, just playground time and maybe a picnic lunch, but it makes her happy. Maybe it will help you too. Christopher smiled, and for the first time, Brianna saw a glimpse of real joy in his expression. I'd like that very much. As Christopher left that night, Brianna stood at the window and watched him drive away. She'd come into this arrangement thinking she was the one being saved, the one receiving all the help. But now she understood that healing went both ways. Christopher needed her as much as she needed him, maybe more. She went to check on Sophia, who was sleeping peacefully with a smile on her face. Her daughter was safe, healthy, and happy. They had a home, stability, and hope for the future. And somehow, Brianna had also been given the gift of helping someone else, of making a difference in a life that seemed to have everything but the one thing that mattered most. Maybe that was the real magic of wishes. Not just getting what you needed, but discovering what others needed too and finding the grace to give it. Brianna's first week at Reed Foundation's community outreach program was overwhelming in the best possible way. The office was located in a renovated building downtown, with bright walls painted in cheerful yellow and blue. Her office had a window overlooking the city, a desk bigger than her old kitchen table, and a nameplate that read, Director, Community Outreach. Patricia Huang, Christopher's assistant, was a woman in her early 40s with sharp eyes and a warmer heart than her efficient manner suggested. She wore a maroon blazer and had her black hair pulled back in a neat bun. For 3 days she walked Brianna through every aspect of the program. Budgets, partner organizations, upcoming events, and the team Brianna would be managing. Don't look so terrified, Patricia said with a small smile on Wednesday afternoon. You're doing fine. Better than fine, actually. The team likes you. They're probably just being nice, Brianna said, reviewing a spreadsheet of food bank partnerships. Trust me, this team doesn't do nice if they don't mean it, Patricia said. Last director lasted 3 months before they made him quit. They're already inviting to lunch. That's a good sign. The team consisted of 5 people. Lauren Foster, a white woman in her 30s who managed volunteer coordination and wore bright green cardigans. Marcus Chen, no wait, I can't use those names. Let me rename. Lauren Foster and Timothy Park, who handled volunteer coordination and wore bright green cardigans. Timothy Park was Asian American, soft-spoken, and brilliant with logistics. Then there was Jennifer Rodriguez, a young Hispanic woman who managed social media and community partnerships, and twins Darnell and Denise Washington, African-American siblings in their 20s who ran the youth mentorship program. They're all passionate about this work, Patricia explained. They just needed someone who understands the communities we serve. Someone who's lived it, not just studied it in business school. By Friday, Brianna felt like she was starting to find her footing. She'd attended her first partnership meeting with local shelters, and her ideas for expanding meal delivery services had been well received. When 5 o'clock came, she was exhausted but satisfied. Christopher appeared at her office door, leaning against the frame with his hands in his pockets. He wore jeans and a blue shirt, having apparently given up on suits for everyday wear. "How was your first week?" "Intense," Brianna admitted. "But good. Really good." "Christopher, I can't thank you enough for this opportunity." "You're earning it," he said. "Patricia says you're a natural. Now, are we still on for tomorrow? The park?" "Yes," Brianna said, gathering her things. "Sophia's been talking about it all week. She wants to show you her artwork. I have to warn you, there are about 50 drawings of butterflies." Christopher smiled. "I look forward to seeing all 50. Saturday dawned bright and clear. Brianna dressed in comfortable jeans and a red t-shirt, pulling her hair back into a ponytail. Sophia wore yellow shorts and a bright blue shirt, practically bouncing with excitement. Christopher arrived at 10 carrying a picnic basket. "I stopped at the deli," he explained. "I didn't know what you liked, so I got a variety. Sandwiches, fruit, some cookies." "You didn't have to do that," Brianna said. "I wanted to," Christopher said simply. "Now let's go. I've been looking forward to this all week." The park was busy with families enjoying the weekend. Kids ran across the grass, dogs chased frisbees, and the playground was full of laughter. Sophia immediately took off for the swings, and Christopher followed her, pushing her higher while she squealed with delight. Brianna watched them from a bench, her heart full. This powerful man, who probably had 1,000 important things to do, was spending his Saturday pushing a little girl on a swing. And he looked genuinely happy doing it, his face relaxed and open in a way she hadn't seen before. After an hour on the playground, they spread out a blanket under a large oak tree. Sophia unpacked her folder of butterfly drawings, explaining each one in detail. Christopher listened attentively, asking questions about colors and wing patterns. "Why butterflies?" he asked. "Because they start out as caterpillars," Sophia said seriously. "And then they go into a cocoon and think everything is ending. But really they're just changing. And when they come out, they're beautiful and they can fly. Mommy says we're like butterflies. We were in a cocoon, but now we're coming out and learning to fly." Christopher looked at Brianna, something unreadable in his expression. "Your mom is very wise." "She's the best," Sophia agreed. "Can I go play on the monkey bars?" "Stay where I can see you," Brianna said, and Sophia ran off across the grass. Christopher lay back on the blanket, staring up at the sky through the tree branches. "This is nice," he said quietly. "I can't remember the last time I just laid in the grass and watched clouds." "Probably before your wife got sick," Brianna said gently. "Yeah," Christopher said. "We used to do things like this all the time." Rachel loved parks. She'd pack elaborate picnics with fancy cheese and wine, and we'd spend whole afternoons just being together. After she died, I couldn't come to places like this anymore. It hurt too much. "But you're here now," Brianna pointed out. "Because you and Sophia make it feel different," Christopher said. "Not like I'm trying to recapture the past, but like I'm building something new. Does that make sense?" "Perfect sense," Brianna said. They spent the rest of the afternoon at the park. Christopher taught Sophia how to throw a frisbee. Brianna beat them both at a game of hopscotch she drew on the sidewalk with chalk. They ate sandwiches and cookies and fruit, and for a few hours they were just 3 people enjoying a beautiful day. As the sun started to set, casting golden light across the park, Christopher helped pack up their things. "Thank you for today," he said to Brianna. "This is exactly what I needed." "It was fun," Brianna said. "We should do it again." "I'd like that," Christopher said. "Actually, I was thinking. My company is hosting a charity gala next month. It's a big formal event, lots of donors and business people. I usually dread these things, but I was wondering if you'd like to come. You and Sophia. Not as work, just as my guests." "A gala?" Brianna repeated. "Christopher, I don't have anything to wear to something like that." "And Sophia?" "I'll take care of everything," Christopher said. "Dresses, shoes, whatever you need." "Please, Brianna. These events are torture for me, standing around making small talk with people who only care about tax write-offs." But if you were there, it might actually be bearable. Brianna wanted to refuse. It seemed like too much, another huge gift she couldn't repay. But then she remembered the deal they'd made. His first wish was for her to teach him happiness, and if her presence at this event would help him, then she should accept. Okay, she said. We'll come. But nothing too fancy with the dresses. Sophia's 8, she needs to be able to move and breathe. Deal? Christopher said, grinning. Thank you, Brianna. You have no idea how much I'm dreading this thing a little less now. Over the next few weeks, Brianna settled into her new life. Work was challenging but fulfilling. She developed a new program that paired elderly volunteers with single parents, creating a support network that benefited both groups. Jennifer Rodriguez helped her launch a social media campaign that went viral, bringing in more donations and volunteers than they'd had in years. Christopher became a regular presence in their lives. He'd stop by for dinner once or twice a week, always bringing something, groceries or takeout or board games. He'd help Sophia with her homework, teaching her advanced math concepts with a patience that amazed Brianna. They'd watch movies together, play cards, talk about everything and nothing. Brianna watched Christopher slowly come back to life. He laughed more easily now. He told stories about his childhood, about his mother's terrible cooking and his father's awful jokes. He talked about Rachel sometimes, sharing memories without the sharp edge of pain that had been there before. You're good at this, Christopher said one evening after Sophia had gone to bed. They were sitting on the couch, drinking tea and watching the city lights through the window. At what? Brianna asked. At being a friend, Christopher said. At making people feel like they matter. At bringing light into dark places. You're good at it, Brianna. And I'm grateful. You've done more for us than I could ever repay, Brianna said. It's not about repayment, Christopher said. It's about connection. About being there for each other. That's what friendship is, right? Is that what we are? Brianna asked. Friends? I hope so, Christopher said. I mean, if you want to be. I know I hired you and I'm technically your boss, but I'd like to think we're more than that by now. We are, Brianna said warmly. You're one of the best friends I've ever had, Christopher. You showed up when I needed someone most, and you've never asked for anything in return except to spend time with us. That's real friendship. Christopher smiled, that genuine smile that had become more common lately. Good. Because you're one of my best friends too. You and Sophia, you've given me something I thought I'd lost forever. Hope, I guess. The belief that life can still be good even after loss. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the city lights twinkle in the darkness. Brianna thought about how much her life had changed in just a few short weeks. She had a home, a job, security, and friendship. Sophia was healthy and happy. Everything felt stable in a way it never had before. Christopher, Brianna said suddenly. I know what my third wish is. Tell me, Christopher said. I wish for you to make sure the community outreach program continues even if I'm not there to run it someday, Brianna said. I've met so many people through this job, families who need help just like we did. I don't want the program to end if something happens to me or if the company decides it's not profitable enough. I want it to be protected, funded, permanent. Christopher was quiet for a moment. That's what you want for your third wish? Not something for yourself or Sophia? This is for people like me, Brianna said. For single parents and struggling families who need someone to believe in them. It's the most important thing I can think of. Brianna Thompson, Christopher said softly, you are one of the most selfless people I've ever met. Yes, I grant your wish. I'll set up an endowment for the community outreach program, enough to fund it permanently. It will continue long after both of us are gone. Thank you, Brianna whispered. No, Christopher said. Thank you. Most people would have asked for more money, a bigger house, fancy things. You asked for help for others. That's why Rachel would have loved you. That's exactly the kind of person she was. It was the highest compliment Christopher could have given, and Brianna felt tears sting her eyes. I wish I could have met her. She would have liked you, Christopher said. She would have loved how you make me laugh again. How you helped me find my way back to living instead of just surviving. As Brianna went to bed that night, she thought about wishes and friendship and the strange ways life could change. 2 months ago, she'd been desperate and hopeless. Now she had everything she needed and more. And somehow in the process of being saved, she'd also saved someone else. That felt like its own kind of magic. The charity gala was being held at the Grand Continental Hotel, a massive building downtown with marble columns and crystal chandeliers. Brianna stood in front of her bathroom mirror, hardly recognizing herself. The dress Christopher had sent over was elegant but simple, a floor-length gown in deep emerald green that made her dark skin glow. Her hair was styled in soft curls, pulled back on one side with a silver clip. In Sophia's room, her daughter was twirling in a red dress with sparkly silver shoes. "Mommy, I look like a princess," she said, her eyes shining with joy. "You are a princess," Brianna said, hugging her carefully so as not to wrinkle either of their dresses. "The most beautiful one I know." A knock at the door signaled Christopher's arrival. He wore a traditional black tuxedo, looking every inch the billionaire, but his smile was warm and genuine as he saw them. "You both look beautiful," he said. "Are you ready?" "I'm nervous," Brianna admitted. "I've never been to anything like this." "Just stay close to me," Christopher said. "And remember, half these people are more nervous than you. They're all worried about making the right impressions and saying the right things. You don't have to impress anyone. Just be yourself." The hotel ballroom was incredible. Round tables covered in white linens filled the space, each with elaborate flower centerpieces. A string quartet played soft music in one corner. Everywhere Brianna looked, she saw expensive jewelry, designer gowns, and confident smiles. Christopher Reed, a tall white man in his 50s, approached, hand extended. "Good to see you. I heard you've been spending less time at the office lately. Everything all right with the company?" "Everything's fine, Harold," Christopher said smoothly. "Just focusing on what matters. Harold, I'd like you to meet Brianna Thompson, the director of our community outreach program. And this is her daughter, Sophia." "Charming," Harold said, though his tone suggested he found them anything but. "Well, we should discuss that merger proposal soon. I'll have my secretary call yours." As Harold walked away, Christopher sighed. "That's exactly the kind of conversation I dread. Fake small talk covering business maneuvering." "Then why come at all?" Brianna asked. "Because it's expected," Christopher said. "Because these people donate to the foundation and I need to keep them happy. Because this is part of my job." They found their assigned table, which included Patricia Huang and her husband, a warm man named Leo who immediately started entertaining Sophia with coin tricks. Also at the table were Jennifer Rodriguez from the outreach program and her wife, a doctor named Amanda. As dinner was served, Brianna relaxed a little. The conversation at their table was genuine, not the forced business talk happening at other tables. Patricia told funny stories about office mishaps. Jennifer shared updates about the program's new initiatives. Sophia charmed everyone with her chatter about butterflies and her art projects. Brianna noticed Christopher watching her daughter with a soft expression. When Sophia asked him a question about why rich people wore such uncomfortable-looking clothes, he laughed, genuinely laughed, and the sound made several people at nearby tables turn to look in surprise. After dinner, Christopher had to give a speech about the foundation's work. Brianna watched him stand at the podium, confident and articulate, talking about community impact and sustainable change. But there was something different about this speech. Instead of just listing statistics, he told a story. "A few months ago, I met someone in a hospital corridor," Christopher said. "A mother who was fighting with everything she had to save her daughter's life. She had worked 3 jobs, maxed out her credit cards and exhausted every resource, and it still wasn't enough. I realized something in that moment. All the money in the world, all the business success, all the achievements I'd accumulated, they meant nothing if I wasn't using them to help people like her. So I made a decision. I decided to stop just writing checks and start actually engaging with the communities we serve." He looked at Brianna then, catching her eye across the room. "Because of that decision, I've learned more in the past few months than I learned in years of board meetings. I've learned about real resilience, about the strength it takes to keep hoping when everything seems hopeless. I've learned that the people who need help the most are often the ones who have the most to teach us about what really matters in life. So thank you all for your donations tonight. But more than your money, I challenge you to engage. Get to know the communities you're helping. Listen to their stories. Learn from their strength. That's where real change begins." The applause was polite but confused. This wasn't the typical charity gala speech. But Brianna felt tears in her eyes. Christopher was talking about her, about them, about what they'd taught each other. After the speech, people approached Christopher with the usual business talk. But he kept Brianna and Sophia close, introducing them to everyone, refusing to let them fade into the background. When a woman in diamonds asked if Brianna was Christopher's date, he smiled and said, "She's my friend. One of the best people I know." Around 10 o'clock, Sophia started yawning. Christopher noticed immediately. "Let's get you two home," he said. "I've done my duty for the evening." In the car, Sophia fell asleep almost immediately. Brianna looked at Christopher in the dim light. Thank you for including us tonight. I know it wasn't exactly fun, but I'm glad we came. It was the most bearable gala I've ever attended, Christopher said. Entirely because you were there. Brianna, I need to tell you something. About my wishes. Okay, Brianna said, curious. My first wish, for you to teach me happiness. You've been doing that beautifully, Christopher said. But I have a second wish now, and I need to tell you what it is. I've been thinking about it for weeks, making sure it's the right thing to ask. Tell me, Brianna said. Christopher pulled the car over to the side of the road, putting it in park. He turned to face her, his expression serious. I want to be part of Sophia's life. Not just as the person who paid for her medical treatment, not just as your boss or your friend. I want to be someone she can count on, someone who's there for school events and birthday parties and all the ordinary moments that make up a childhood. I don't have children of my own, Brianna. I never will, Rachel, and I never got that chance. But spending time with Sophia, watching her draw those butterflies, pushing her on the swings, it makes me feel like I have purpose again. So my second wish is this. Let me be a real presence in her life. Let me be someone she can depend on. Brianna felt her breath catch. This wasn't what she'd expected at all. She'd thought maybe he'd ask for help with a business project or want her to attend more events. But this was asking to be family. Christopher, she said slowly, are you sure? Kids are a big responsibility. She'll want your time, your attention. She'll have questions and needs, and I want all of that, Christopher said. I'm not asking to replace her father or to overstep any boundaries. I just want to be someone who's there for her. Someone who shows up. Is that okay? Brianna thought about it. Sophia's biological father had left before she was born, never interested in being a parent. Sophia had asked about him sometimes, wondering why she didn't have a dad like other kids. And here was Christopher, offering exactly what her daughter needed. A stable, caring adult who wanted to be present in her life. Yes, Brianna said. I accept your second wish. You can be part of Sophia's life. She already adores you, Christopher. And I trust you completely. Christopher's whole face lit up with joy. Thank you. You have no idea what this means to me. I think I do, Brianna said softly. You lost someone you loved and you're scared to love again. But Sophia, she makes it safe somehow. Kids are like that. They don't ask for complicated feelings or worry about the future. They just love you for showing up and being present. Exactly, Christopher said. With her, I can just be Uncle Chris, the guy who brings board games and helps with homework. It's simple and pure and it makes me happy. Then that's what you'll be, Brianna said. Uncle Chris, officially part of our family. As they drove the rest of the way home, Brianna thought about how much their lives had intertwined. Christopher wasn't just her benefactor anymore. He wasn't just her boss or even just her friend. He was becoming family, and that felt right in a way she couldn't quite explain. When they got home, Christopher carried sleeping Sophia inside, laying her gently on her bed. Brianna removed her sparkly shoes and covered her with a blanket. They stood there for a moment, watching her sleep peacefully. She's a special kid, Christopher whispered. She is, Brianna agreed. And she's lucky to have you in her life. Back in the living room, Christopher prepared to leave. But at the door he paused. Brianna, there's something else I need to tell you. About my third wish. Do you want to tell me now? Brianna asked. Not yet, Christopher said. I need more time to figure out how to ask it. But I will tell you soon, I promise. It's not bad, nothing to worry about. I just need to find the right words. Okay, Brianna said, though curiosity was burning inside her. Whenever you're ready. After Christopher left, Brianna got ready for bed, her mind spinning. Two of Christopher's wishes were revealed now. The first, teaching him happiness, was something she'd been doing naturally. The second, letting him be part of Sophia's life, was already happening. What could the third wish possibly be? She thought about the way he looked at her sometimes, the warmth in his eyes when she laughed, the way he always made sure she was comfortable and happy. She thought about how easily he fit into their lives, how natural it felt to have him around. And then a thought occurred to her, one that made her heart race. What if his third wish was about them? About her and him, together as more than friends? She pushed the thought away. That was ridiculous. Christopher was still grieving his wife. He'd made it clear that he valued their friendship. And besides, she was just a single mom who'd been barely surviving a few months ago. He was a billionaire who moved in circles she could barely imagine. But as she drifted off to sleep, she couldn't quite shake the thought. And a small part of her wondered if maybe, just maybe, she wouldn't mind if that's what his third wish turned out to be. The weeks following the gala fell into a comfortable rhythm. Christopher showed up for Sunday dinners, always bringing something, ice cream or fresh bread or ingredients for whatever meal Brianna was planning. He'd help cook, standing at the stove while Sophia did her homework at the kitchen table and Brianna set out plates. "You're getting good at this," Brianna commented one Sunday as Christopher expertly flipped chicken in a pan. "Rachel taught me," he said. "She said any adult should know how to cook at least 10 good meals. I'm up to 8 now. What are the other 2? Sophia asked, looking up from her math worksheet. "Lasagna and chocolate cake," Christopher said. "Both of which I will master eventually." True to his second wish, Christopher became a fixture in Sophia's life. He attended her school art show, standing in front of her butterfly display with genuine pride. He came to her soccer games, even though Sophia spent most of the time picking dandelions in the outfield. He helped her with her science fair project, building a model of the solar system that was far more elaborate than required. "Uncle Chris, you're going to make the other kids jealous," Brianna said, eyeing the detailed planet models. "Then they should ask their parents for help," Christopher said, carefully painting Saturn's rings. "This is fun. I never got to do stuff like this as a kid." Watching them together made Brianna's heart feel full. Sophia had never had a father figure before, and Christopher had never had a child. They filled something in each other that had been missing. Work was going well too. The community outreach program was expanding faster than anyone had expected. Brianna's idea to pair elderly volunteers with young families had been so successful that 3 other cities wanted to implement it. She'd been interviewed by a local news station and was scheduled to speak at a conference next month. "You're a natural at this," Patricia told her one afternoon. "Christopher knew what he was doing when he hired you." "I still can't believe this is my job," Brianna admitted. "Some days I wake up thinking it's all a dream." "It's not a dream," Patricia said. "You've earned everything you have. Don't forget that." But not everything was smooth. One afternoon, as Brianna was reviewing budget reports, Christopher appeared at her door looking troubled. His usual calm expression was replaced with tension. "Do you have a minute?" he asked. "Of course," Brianna said, gesturing to the chair across from her desk. "What's wrong?" Christopher sat down, running a hand through his hair. "There's a situation with the company. My former business partner, Gregory Walsh, he's trying to initiate a hostile takeover. He's been buying up shares quietly for months, and now he has enough support from other investors to challenge my leadership." "Can he do that?" Brianna asked, alarmed. "Technically, yes," Christopher said. "If he convinces enough board members that I'm not fit to run the company. And he's building a case that I've been distracted lately, not focused on profits, spending too much time on charity work instead of business growth." "That's ridiculous," Brianna said. "You've been doing important work." "In his view, important work doesn't make money," Christopher said bitterly. "He wants to cut the community outreach program, scale back all our charitable initiatives, focus purely on profits. He thinks I've gone soft since Rachel died." Brianna felt anger rise in her chest. "What can I do to help?" "Nothing," Christopher said quickly. "This isn't your fight. I just wanted you to know what's happening. There might be some meetings and legal proceedings over the next few weeks. I might not be able to come around as much." "Christopher," Brianna said firmly, "you just told me you're in a fight for control of your company. Of course I want to help. What do you need?" Christopher looked at her with such gratitude that Brianna felt her heart squeeze. "Just be my friend. That's all I need. When I'm dealing with lawyers and board members and all the corporate nonsense, I need to know I have somewhere to go where none of that matters." "You do," Brianna promised. "Always." Over the next few weeks, Brianna watched Christopher fight for his company. He worked long hours, attended endless meetings, and dealt with stress that would have broken most people. But he still showed up for Sunday dinners. He still helped Sophia with her homework. He still found time to laugh and be present, even when Brianna knew he was exhausted. "Why don't you just let him have the company?" Brianna asked one evening after Sophia had gone to bed. They were sitting on her couch, drinking tea like they'd done so many times before. "If it's causing you this much stress, why fight?" "Because it's not about the money," Christopher said. "It's about what the company stands for. When I built this business, I did it with the goal of making enough money to help people. The outreach program, the charitable foundation, the partnerships with schools and hospitals, that's all funded by company profits. If Gregory takes over, all of that goes away. He'll turn it into just another corporation that cares only about shareholder returns." "So you're fighting for the program," Brianna said. "For the people we help." "I'm fighting for the principle," Christopher said. I'm fighting to prove that a company can be profitable and do good in the world. That we don't have to choose between making money and making a difference. Brianna reached over and took his hand. Then I'm fighting with you. Whatever you need, Christopher. We're in this together. Christopher squeezed her hand, his blue eyes intense. Thank you. You have no idea how much that means. The board meeting was scheduled for a Friday afternoon. Christopher wore his most formal suit, looking every inch the powerful CEO. Before he left, he stopped by Brianna's office. Wish me luck, he said. You don't need luck, Brianna told him. You have truth on your side. And that's more powerful than any business strategy. The meeting lasted 4 hours. Brianna tried to work but couldn't concentrate. Finally, around 6 o'clock, Christopher appeared at her door. His tie was loosened, his hair slightly messy, but he was smiling. I won, he said. The board voted to keep me as CEO. Gregory's out. Brianna jumped up and hugged him without thinking. That's wonderful. Christopher hugged her back, holding her close for a long moment. When they pulled apart, there was something in his expression that made Brianna's heart beat faster. But before she could analyze it, he was speaking again. I couldn't have done it without you, he said. Knowing you believed in me, knowing I had someone in my corner, it gave me the strength to fight. I'll always be in your corner, Brianna said softly. That weekend, they celebrated with a special dinner. Christopher cooked his newly mastered lasagna, which was actually delicious. Sophia made a congratulations card decorated with butterflies. They ate and laughed and told stories, and for a few hours all the stress and worry melted away. As Christopher was leaving that night, he paused at the door. Brianna, I need to tell you something. About my third wish. Brianna's heart started racing. Okay. Not tonight, Christopher said. But soon. I promise. I just need a little more time to figure out how to say it right. Christopher, you're making me nervous, Brianna said with a small laugh. Don't be nervous, Christopher said, reaching out to touch her arm gently. It's nothing bad. It's actually something I hope will make you happy. I just want to do it right. After he left, Brianna sat on her couch for a long time, thinking. The way Christopher looked at her lately, the gentleness in his touch, the way he'd held her when they hugged, it all suggested something more than friendship. And the scary thing was, she realized she wanted something more too. She'd fallen in love with Christopher Reed. Somewhere between coffee-stained suits and Sunday dinners, between playground visits and board meetings, between teaching him happiness and learning to accept help, she'd fallen completely in love with him. But she didn't know if he felt the same way. He was still grieving Rachel. He'd made it clear he valued their friendship. Maybe his third wish was something completely different, and she was reading too much into every look and touch. In her bedroom, Brianna looked at herself in the mirror. She was a single mother from a rough neighborhood, someone who'd barely been surviving a few months ago. Christopher was a billionaire who'd saved her life. Was it even possible that he could see her as anything more than a charity case? More than a friend? She didn't know. But she knew one thing for certain. Whatever Christopher's third wish was, she would grant it. Because she loved him, and love meant giving what the other person needed, even if it wasn't what you hoped for yourself. She just hoped his wish would be something her heart could handle. Spring arrived in the city with cherry blossoms and warmer weather. Brianna had been working at the community outreach program for nearly 6 months now, and the results were remarkable. The program had helped over 200 families find stable housing, connected 50 elderly volunteers with young families, and distributed thousands of meals through their expanded food bank partnerships. You've transformed this program, Patricia told her during their weekly check-in. Christopher knew what he was doing when he brought you on board. I love this work, Brianna said honestly. Getting to help people who were in the same position I was in, it feels like the whole experience with Sophia's illness had a purpose. Everything happens for a reason, Patricia agreed. Then she paused, studying Brianna with sharp eyes. Can I ask you something personal? Sure, Brianna said, though she felt suddenly nervous. What's going on with you and Christopher? Patricia asked bluntly. I've worked for him for 8 years and I've never seen him like this. He's happy, Brianna. Really happy. And I think it's because of you. Brianna felt heat rise to her cheeks. We're friends? Good friends. Friends, Patricia repeated, but her tone suggested she didn't believe that was the whole story. Well, as his friend, you should know he's planning something. He's been distracted all week, nervous even. That's not like him. Do you know what it is? Brianna asked. I have my suspicions, Patricia said with a small smile. But it's not my place to say. Just be kind when he tells you. Whatever he's planning, he's thought about it carefully. That conversation left Brianna on edge all day. What was Christopher planning? Was he finally going to reveal his third wish? And why would Patricia tell her to be kind? That suggested the wish might be something difficult or unexpected. That evening, Christopher texted asking if he could come over. Brianna's heart jumped into her throat. This was it. Whatever he'd been building up to, tonight was the night. She put Sophia to bed early, claiming she looked tired. Her daughter protested but eventually fell asleep clutching her favorite stuffed butterfly. Brianna changed into a comfortable blue dress, nothing fancy but nicer than her usual home clothes. She was brushing her hair when the doorbell rang. Christopher stood on her doorstep holding a single sunflower. Not roses, not an expensive bouquet, just one bright cheerful sunflower. "Hi," he said, and Brianna could hear the nerves in his voice. "Hi," she said back, accepting the flower. "Come in. I made tea." They sat in the living room and Brianna noticed Christopher couldn't seem to sit still. He kept shifting position, rubbing his palms on his jeans, looking at her and then looking away. She'd never seen him this nervous. "Christopher, you're making me anxious," Brianna said gently. "Just tell me whatever you need to tell me." Christopher took a deep breath. "Okay, right. I've been thinking about this for weeks, trying to figure out the right way to say it. But there's no perfect way, so I'm just going to be honest." "Okay," Brianna said, her heart pounding. "Remember our deal?" Christopher asked. 3 wishes each. You've granted your 3 wishes. Sophia's medical treatment, stable housing and a job, and protecting the outreach program. And I've revealed 2 of my wishes, learning to be happy again and being part of Sophia's life. "I remember," Brianna said. "Well, it's time for my 3rd wish," Christopher said. He moved from the couch to kneel on the floor in front of her, taking both her hands in his. "Brianna Thompson, my 3rd wish is this. I want you to consider letting me be more than just your friend. I want you to think about whether you could see a future with me, not as the person who helped you, but as someone you choose to be with because you want to." Brianna stared at him, her mind going completely blank. Of all the things she'd imagined, she hadn't expected this. Not exactly like this, so direct and vulnerable and real. "I've fallen in love with you," Christopher continued, his voice steady despite the emotion in his eyes. "I didn't plan to. I thought I'd never love anyone again after Rachel. But you came into my life like this brilliant light, and you showed me that it's possible to heal, to live again, to hope. You taught me about real strength, about kindness, about the courage it takes to keep going when everything feels impossible. And somewhere along the way, I stopped being able to imagine my life without you in it." "Christopher," Brianna whispered, tears starting to fall down her cheeks. "I'm not asking you to say yes right now," Christopher said quickly. "I know this is complicated. I'm your boss, I helped you when you were desperate, and there's a huge power imbalance that we need to think about carefully. I know you might worry that you owe me something or that I'm expecting gratitude to turn into love. But Brianna, I need you to understand something. What I feel for you has nothing to do with being your benefactor. I love you because of who you are. Because you make me laugh. Because you challenge me to be better. Because you see me, not my money or my company, just me. And because when I'm with you and Sophia, I feel like I've found home again." Brianna was fully crying now, and she couldn't have stopped the tears if she wanted to. "But what about Rachel?" she asked. "You loved her so much." "I did," Christopher said, his own eyes wet. "I loved her with everything I had and I will always love her. She was my first love and losing her nearly destroyed me. But loving you doesn't erase what I had with Rachel. Love doesn't work like that. The heart doesn't replace one person with another. It expands, makes room. And Rachel would want me to be happy. She'd want me to find love again if I could. She told me that before she died. She made me promise I wouldn't spend the rest of my life alone." "I'm scared," Brianna admitted. "What if this is just gratitude I'm feeling? What if I'm confusing love with appreciation for everything you've done?" "That's why I'm not asking for an answer tonight," Christopher said. "My 3rd wish is just that you think about it. Really think about whether what you feel for me is friendship or something more. Take all the time you need. And Brianna, if the answer is no, if you decide you don't feel the same way, I promise it won't change anything. I'll still be Uncle Chris to Sophia. I'll still be your friend. Your job is safe. Nothing has to change if you don't want it to." Brianna looked at this man kneeling before her, this billionaire who'd saved her life and then became so much more than a benefactor. She thought about Sunday dinners and park visits and the way her heart jumped every time he smiled. She thought about how safe she felt with him, how seen and valued and understood. "I don't need time to think about it," she heard herself say. "I already know the answer." Christopher went very still. "You do." "I love you too," Brianna said, the words flowing out of her like water breaking through a dam. I've loved you for months, but I was terrified to admit it. I thought you could never see me that way, that I was just the single mom you helped out of pity. But Christopher, everything you just said about how you feel, I feel the same way. When I'm with you, I feel like I can breathe. Like everything is going to be okay. You're the first person I think about in the morning and the last person I think about at night. I love how you are with Sophia, how you make her laugh and believe in herself. I love how you listen, really listen when I talk. I love that you've let me see you at your most vulnerable, that you trust me with your grief and your fears. So yes, I accept your third wish. I want to be with you. Not because I owe you anything, but because I choose you. Christopher's face broke into the biggest smile Brianna had ever seen. He stood up, pulling her to her feet and wrapped his arms around her. Are you sure? He asked, his voice muffled against her hair. Are you absolutely sure? I'm sure, Brianna said, holding him tight. I'm terrified and excited and completely sure. They stood there holding each other for a long time. Then Christopher pulled back slightly, cupping her face in his hands. Can I kiss you? Yes, Brianna whispered. The kiss was gentle and sweet, nothing rushed or demanding. It felt like a promise, like the beginning of something beautiful. When they pulled apart, both of them were crying and smiling at the same time. So what now? Brianna asked. Now we take it slow, Christopher said. We figure this out together. We talk to Sophia, make sure she's comfortable with this change. We set boundaries at work so people don't think I'm showing favoritism. We go on actual dates where I pick you up and take you to dinner like normal people. We build something real and strong and lasting. I like the sound of that, Brianna said. They spent the rest of the evening talking about logistics and feelings and fears. Christopher admitted he was scared of letting someone in again, terrified of loss after what happened with Rachel. Brianna confessed she worried about the power dynamics, about people judging her for dating her boss, about whether she deserved someone like him. You deserve everything good in this world, Christopher told her firmly. And I'm going to spend every day proving that to you. When Christopher finally left around midnight, Brianna floated to her bedroom feeling like she was walking on air. She'd come into this arrangement looking for survival, for basic help to save her daughter. And somehow she'd found love, real and genuine and life-changing. As she drifted off to sleep, she thought about wishes and how they had a way of giving you not just what you asked for but what you needed most. She'd wished for medical treatment, housing and job security. Christopher had wished for happiness, family and love. And in granting each other's wishes, they'd both found something neither of them knew they were looking for, a future together. If you've been following Brianna and Christopher's journey, you know this is just the beginning of their story. But what happens next? Will their relationship survive the challenges ahead? What about Sophia? And is there more to Christopher's past than he's revealed? Don't miss the next chapter. Subscribe now so you don't lose track of this story and comment below. Do you think they're moving too fast, or is this the right pace for two people who've already been through so much? Your thoughts matter to us. The morning after Christopher revealed his third wish, Brianna woke up with butterflies in her stomach. Had last night really happened? Had they really confessed their feelings and kissed and decided to start a relationship? She checked her phone and found a text from Christopher. Good morning. Last night was real. And I'm the happiest I've been in years. Can't wait to see you today. Brianna smiled, hugging her phone to her chest. Then reality hit her. They needed to tell Sophia. Her 8-year-old daughter had grown to love Uncle Chris, but how would she feel about him becoming something more? At breakfast, Sophia chattered about her upcoming field trip, completely oblivious to the shift in her mother's world. Brianna watched her daughter eat cereal and wondered how to bring up the topic. Sweetie, Brianna started, I need to talk to you about something important. Sophia looked up, spoon halfway to her mouth. Am I in trouble? No, baby, nothing like that, Brianna said. It's about Uncle Chris. Is he okay? Sophia asked, concern immediate in her eyes. He's fine, Brianna assured her. Actually, he's really good. But things are going to change a little bit. Uncle Chris and I have decided that we want to be more than just friends. We're going to start dating, which means he'll be around even more, and eventually, if everything works out, he might become like a dad to you. How would you feel about that? Sophia's eyes went wide. Then, to Brianna's surprise, her daughter broke into a huge smile. Really? Uncle Chris is going to be my dad. Well, not right away, Brianna said carefully. We're going to take it slow and see how things go. But yes, that's the direction we're heading. Are you okay with that? Okay with it? Sophia practically shouted, jumping out of her chair. Mommy, I've been wishing for this for months. I love Uncle Chris. He's the best. Can I call him Dad now? Let's stick with Uncle Chris for now, Brianna said, laughing at her daughter's enthusiasm. We don't want to rush things. But I'm glad you're happy about it. I'm super happy, Sophia said, hugging her mother tight. Does this mean he'll live with us? Not yet, Brianna said. Remember, we're taking things slow. He'll still have his own apartment for now and we'll still have our space. But he'll be here more often, and things will gradually change as we figure out how to be a family together. That evening, Christopher came over for what he jokingly called their first official family dinner as a couple in progress. He brought flowers for Brianna and a new sketch pad for Sophia. The moment he walked in, Sophia launched herself at him. Uncle Chris, Mom told me. Are you going to be my dad? She asked, looking up at him with shining eyes. Christopher knelt down to her level. I'd like that very much if you'd like it too. But like your mom said, we're going to take our time and make sure everyone is comfortable with the changes. Is that okay? It's perfect, Sophia said. Can we paint together after dinner? I want to make a picture of our family. Over dinner they talked about boundaries and expectations. Christopher wanted to make sure Sophia understood that he wasn't trying to replace her biological father, even though her biological father had never been present. He was just offering to be a father figure if she wanted one. I don't need replacing a person who was never there, Sophia said with wisdom beyond her 8 years. I just want someone who shows up. And you always show up, Uncle Chris. I always will, Christopher promised, and Brianna saw tears in his eyes. After dinner, while Sophia painted, Christopher and Brianna sat on the couch talking quietly. This feels right, he said. The three of us together. It feels like family. It does, Brianna agreed. But Christopher, we need to talk about work. How do we handle this at the office? I've been thinking about that, Christopher said. First, we need to be completely transparent with HR. I'll inform them about our relationship, and we'll put policies in place to prevent any conflicts of interest. Second, I think it might be good for you to report to Patricia instead of directly to me. That way, there's no appearance of favoritism in your performance reviews or salary decisions. That makes sense, Brianna said. But what about the gossip? You know people are going to talk. Let them talk, Christopher said firmly. We're not doing anything wrong. We're two adults who fell in love. As long as we're professional at work and transparent about our relationship, people's opinions don't matter. You make it sound so simple, Brianna said. It is simple, Christopher said, taking her hand. The complicated part is what we already figured out, admitting how we feel. Everything else is just logistics. The next few weeks were an adjustment. At work, Brianna moved to reporting to Patricia, which actually improved her efficiency since Patricia was more directly involved with the day-to-day operations. The team in the outreach program was supportive when they heard about the relationship, with Jennifer Rodriguez giving Brianna a thumbs up and whispering, I always thought you two had chemistry. Christopher and Brianna went on their first official date to a small Italian restaurant downtown. It was strange and wonderful at the same time, sitting across from each other in a romantic setting instead of on her living room couch. Christopher reached across the table to hold her hand. This is nice, he said. Different but nice. Very different from our usual Sunday dinners, Brianna agreed. But I like it. They talked about everything, their childhoods, their dreams, their fears. Christopher shared stories about his mother and how her death had shaped him. Brianna talked about her own mother, who'd passed away from diabetes 2 years before Sophia was born, and how much she wished Sophia could have known her grandmother. I think our mothers would have liked each other, Christopher said. Both strong women who raised their kids to value kindness over wealth. My mom would have liked you, Brianna said. She always said the measure of a man is how he treats people who can't do anything for him. You've passed that test repeatedly. On their second date they went to an art museum. Sophia had begged to come along, and Christopher had gently explained that sometimes adults needed time alone together. But he'd promised to take her to the Children's Museum the next weekend. At the art museum they stood in front of a painting of butterflies. Sophia would love this, Brianna said. We should bring her back here, Christopher agreed. But right now this is our time. And I'm enjoying having you all to myself. He pulled her close, kissing her gently in front of the butterfly painting. Brianna felt her heart soar. This was real. This was happening. She was falling in love really and truly for the first time in her life. Not everything was perfect though. One afternoon at work, Brianna overheard two employees talking in the break room. She'd come in to refill her water bottle and stopped when she heard her name. I'm just saying it's convenient timing, one voice said. She recognized it as Mark Stevens, a guy from accounting. Single mom with a sick kid suddenly starts dating the billionaire boss? Come on. Maybe they actually like each other, another voice said. This one was familiar too, probably someone from HR. Or maybe she saw an opportunity and took it, Mark said. I mean, good for her, I guess. If I had kids to support, I'd probably do the same thing. Find a rich guy and secure the bag. Brianna felt like she'd been slapped. She set down her water bottle and walked into the break room. Both men looked up, startled and guilty. Hi Mark, Brianna said calmly, even though she was shaking inside. I couldn't help but overhear your conversation. I just want to clarify something. I didn't pursue Christopher. He pursued me. And if you think I'm with him for his money, you clearly don't know either of us very well. Now, if you're done gossiping about your coworkers, maybe you should get back to work. She walked out with her head held high, but once she was back in her office, she collapsed in her chair. She'd known people would talk, but hearing it still hurt. Christopher had warned her this would happen, but knowing something intellectually was different from experiencing it emotionally. That evening, she told Christopher what had happened. He was furious. Give me his name. I'll fire him. No, Brianna said firmly. That would just prove his point that I have special privileges. I handled it. I stood up for myself. And honestly, Christopher, this is something we need to accept. Some people are always going to question our relationship. We can't control what they think. I don't like it, Christopher said. You don't deserve to be talked about like that. No, I don't, Brianna agreed. But I also don't need you to fight all my battles for me. I'm strong enough to handle some gossip. What matters is that we know the truth. What matters is that Sophia is happy. What matters is that we're building something real. Christopher pulled her into his arms. You're right. I just hate that people are making you uncomfortable. I'll survive, Brianna said. I've survived much worse than office gossip. As spring turned to summer, their relationship deepened. Christopher spent most evenings at Brianna's apartment, though he still maintained his own place. They'd have dinner together, help Sophia with homework, watch movies, and just exist in each other's space. It felt natural and right, like they'd been doing this for years instead of months. One Saturday, Christopher took them both to a lake outside the city. They rented a paddle boat and spent the afternoon on the water, laughing as they tried to coordinate their pedaling. Sophia trailed her hand in the water, making patterns in the ripples. I love days like this, Christopher said, watching Sophia with a soft expression. Me too, Brianna agreed. Simple and perfect. Can I tell you something? Christopher asked, keeping his voice low so Sophia wouldn't hear over her splashing. Always, Brianna said. I've been thinking about the future, Christopher said. About us, about Sophia, about what comes next. And I realized that my second wish, the one about being part of Sophia's life, it's not quite complete yet. What do you mean? Brianna asked. I asked to be part of her life, to be someone she could count on, Christopher said. And I am those things. But I want to make it official. I want to adopt her if you're both okay with that. I want her to be my daughter in every legal sense, not just in my heart. Brianna felt tears spring to her eyes. Christopher, that's a huge step. I know, he said. And if you're not ready, I understand. We can wait. But Brianna, I love that little girl like she's my own. She calls me Uncle Chris, but I want to be her dad. Really and truly her dad. Is that something you'd consider? Brianna looked at Sophia, who was now singing a song about ducks while making swimming motions with her hands. She thought about how much Christopher had already given them, how much he'd already changed their lives. Yes, she said softly. Yes, when the time is right, I'd be honored if you adopted Sophia. But let's talk to her about it first. Make sure she wants that too. Of course, Christopher said. Her feelings are the most important ones here. That evening, after they'd returned from the lake and Sophia had showered and changed into her pajamas, they sat her down for a serious conversation. Sophia, Uncle Chris and I want to ask you something, Brianna started. It's a big question and we want you to think carefully about your answer. Okay, Sophia said, looking between them with curiosity. Christopher took over. Sophia, you know that I love you very much, right? I know, Sophia said. I love you too, Uncle Chris. Well, I've been thinking and I talked to your mom and we wanted to ask if you'd like me to officially adopt you, Christopher said. That would mean I'd be your dad on paper, not just in our hearts. You'd take my last name if you wanted to, and legally, I'd be your father. But only if that's something you want. No pressure either way. Sophia was quiet for a long moment, her face serious. Then she looked at Brianna. Would you still be my mom? Always, Brianna said. Nothing could ever change that. And you and Uncle Chris are going to get married? Sophia asked. Brianna and Christopher looked at each other. They hadn't talked about marriage yet, though it seemed inevitable eventually. Probably, Brianna said honestly. Someday. Then yes, Sophia said. I want Uncle Chris to be my dad. For real. Christopher's eyes filled with tears. He pulled Sophia into a tight hug. Thank you, sweetheart. You've just made me the happiest person in the world. Later, after Sophia was asleep, Christopher and Brianna held each other on the couch. Did we just agree to get married? Brianna asked with a small laugh. I think Sophia might have agreed for us, Christopher said. But for the record, I do want to marry you. Not today, not tomorrow, but eventually. When the time feels right. Is that okay? It's more than okay, Brianna whispered. It's perfect. As Brianna drifted off to sleep that night in Christopher's arms, she thought about how far they'd come. From that desperate encounter in a hospital corridor to this. A family forming, love growing, a future taking shape. Christopher's second wish had been to be part of Sophia's life, and he'd gotten so much more than that. He'd become essential to both of them, the missing piece they hadn't known they needed. And the best part? They were building this family not out of desperation or necessity, but out of genuine love and choice. That made all the difference. Summer brought new challenges along with the heat. The adoption process for Sophia was moving forward, requiring background checks, home visits, and endless paperwork. Christopher handled it all with patience, working with a family lawyer to make sure everything was done correctly. Meanwhile, at work, things were getting complicated. The company was facing pressure from investors again, but this time it was different. A group of shareholders were questioning whether the community outreach program was a responsible use of company resources. They want numbers, Patricia explained to Brianna during a tense morning meeting. They want proof that the program has a positive impact on the company's bottom line, not just on the community. But that's not how charity works, Brianna protested. We help people because it's the right thing to do, not because it makes us money. I know, Patricia said. But we need to give them something. Can you put together a report showing the indirect benefits? Employee morale, company reputation, tax advantages, that kind of thing? Brianna spent the next week working on the most comprehensive report of her life. She gathered data on employee retention, showing that workers were more loyal to companies with strong community programs. She collected testimonials from families they'd helped who then became customers. She documented the positive press coverage and how it had improved the company's brand recognition. Christopher looked over her shoulder one evening as she worked at her kitchen table, Sophia doing homework beside her. This is incredible work, he said. But Brianna, you don't have to prove the program's worth to me. I believe in what we're doing. I'm not doing this for you, Brianna said. I'm doing it for all the families who depend on this program. For every single parent out there who needs help but doesn't have a billionaire to save them. This program is bigger than us, Christopher. It has to survive. The shareholder presentation was scheduled for a Tuesday morning. Brianna practiced her speech until she could recite it in her sleep. Christopher wanted to present with her, but they decided it would be more powerful if she did it alone. This was her area of expertise and she needed to stand on her own credibility, not his. The conference room was packed with serious-looking people in expensive suits. Brianna wore her best professional outfit, a maroon blazer and black skirt, and carried herself with confidence she didn't entirely feel. She set up her presentation slides and took a deep breath. Good morning, she started. My name is Brianna Thompson, and I'm the director of Reed Foundation's Community Outreach Program. I'm here today to talk to you about return on investment, but not in the way you might expect. For the next 30 minutes, Brianna laid out her case. She showed them the numbers, the statistics, the measurable impacts. But she also told stories. She talked about Maria Rodriguez, a single mother of 3 who'd been helped by the program and now worked as a manager at one of the company's partner businesses. She mentioned James Wilson, an elderly volunteer who'd found new purpose in life helping young families, and whose story had been featured in a national magazine, bringing positive attention to the company. You're asking whether this program is worth the investment, Brianna concluded. I'm here to tell you that it's worth more than you can measure in dollars. But if you insist on financial metrics, consider this. Companies with strong community engagement programs have 55% higher employee morale, 38% higher customer loyalty, and 20% better brand recognition. Our program has generated over $2 million in positive press coverage this year alone. It's attracted top talent who want to work for a company that stands for something beyond profits. And yes, it's helped hundreds of families find stability, which means they become productive community members who eventually become customers and employees and contributors to the economy. She paused, looking around the room at all those serious faces. But here's the real question you should be asking. What kind of company do you want Reed Foundation to be? One that only cares about shareholder returns? Or one that proves you can be profitable and make a difference? Because I believe we can do both. And the data supports me. The room was silent for a long moment. Then someone in the back started clapping and others joined in. The head of the investor group, a stern-looking woman named Margaret Thornton, stood up. "Miss Thompson, that was an impressive presentation," she said. "You've given us a lot to think about. We'll discuss this and get back to the board with our recommendations." As people filed out, Christopher caught Brianna's eye from across the room. He gave her a subtle thumbs up, pride evident on his face. Patricia came over and squeezed her shoulder. "You did great," she whispered. "I think you won them over." But the victory celebration was short-lived. That evening, as Brianna was leaving work, she ran into Mark Stevens, the guy from accounting who'd made those comments about her dating Christopher for money. "Nice presentation today," Mark said, his tone making it clear he didn't mean it as a compliment. "Must be nice having the boss as your boyfriend. I'm sure that had nothing to do with you getting to present to the shareholders." "Actually, Mark, Christopher wanted to present with me and I said no," Brianna replied calmly. "Because unlike what you seem to think, I'm capable of succeeding on my own merits." "Sure," Mark said. "Keep telling yourself that. Everyone knows you're only where you are because of who you're sleeping with." This time Brianna didn't stay calm. "You know what, Mark? I'm tired of your comments. I work hard at my job. I've improved this program beyond anyone's expectations. I've helped hundreds of families and generated positive results for this company. My relationship with Christopher has nothing to do with my professional success, and frankly, it's none of your business. Now, if you can't treat me with basic professional respect, I suggest you keep your opinions to yourself." She walked away before he could respond, her hands shaking with anger. In her car, she sat for a moment trying to calm down. She hated confrontation, but she was tired of being disrespected. When she got home, Christopher was already there, having let himself in with the key she'd given him. He was helping Sophia with her math homework, and the domestic scene should have made her smile. Instead, she burst into tears. Hey, what's wrong?" Christopher asked, immediately coming to her side. Sophia looked up with worried eyes. "Mommy?" "I'm okay, baby," Brianna managed. "Just a hard day. Can you finish your homework while I talk to Uncle Chris for a minute?" In her bedroom, Brianna told Christopher about Mark's comments. Christopher's face darkened with anger. "That's it. I'm firing him. I don't care if it looks bad. He's harassing you." "No," Brianna said firmly. "Christopher, listen to me. If you fire everyone who makes a comment about our relationship, you'll have to fire half the office. People are going to talk. Some people are going to be mean about it. That's just reality. We talked about this." "I don't like it," Christopher said. "You shouldn't have to deal with this." "I shouldn't have to," Brianna agreed. "But I can handle it. What I need from you is support, not rescue. I need you to believe in my ability to fight my own battles." Christopher pulled her into his arms. "I do believe in you. I just hate seeing you hurt." "I'm not hurt," Brianna said. "I'm annoyed. There's a difference. And honestly, Christopher, comments like Mark say more about him than they do about me. I know who I am. I know what I've accomplished. Some insecure guy in accounting can't change that." "You're amazing," Christopher said. "Have I told you that lately?" "Not in the last few hours," Brianna said with a small smile. That weekend they got good news. The shareholder group had voted to continue funding the community outreach program, and they'd even approved a budget increase for the next fiscal year. Margaret Thornton sent a personal email to Brianna commending her presentation and her leadership. "You did it," Christopher said, reading the email over her shoulder. "You saved the program." "We did it," Brianna corrected. "This was a team effort." To celebrate, they took Sophia to her favorite pizza place, the kind with arcade games and a ball pit. It was loud and chaotic and perfect. Watching Christopher play skee-ball with Sophia, both of them laughing and competing for the highest score, Brianna felt her heart overflow with love. This was what mattered. Not office gossip or shareholder meetings or investor concerns. This, her daughter's laughter, Christopher's smile, the simple joy of being together. Everything else was just noise. Later that night, after Sophia was asleep, Christopher and Brianna sat on her small balcony, looking at the city lights. "I've been thinking about something," Christopher said. "What's that?" Brianna asked. My apartment is huge and empty, and I spend most of my time here anyway, Christopher said. What would you think about us getting a place together? Something bigger than this apartment but not as cold as my place. Somewhere that feels like home for all three of us. Brianna's breath caught. You want us to move in together? Only if you're ready, Christopher said quickly. No pressure. But Brianna, we're already living like a family. We might as well make it official. And once the adoption goes through, Sophia's going to be my daughter legally. It makes sense for us to live together. What about marriage? Brianna asked. Shouldn't we be married before we live together? We can do that too, Christopher said. Actually, I've been thinking about that. A lot. But I didn't want to rush you. Christopher Reed, Brianna said slowly, are you trying to propose to me? Not yet, Christopher said. When I propose, it's going to be special and romantic and I'll have a ring and everything. Right now, I'm just asking if you'd be open to taking the next steps with me. Moving in together, eventually getting married, building a real family. All of it. Brianna looked at the man beside her, this wonderful, kind, complicated person who'd come into her life and changed everything. Yes, she said softly. Yes to all of it. Not all at once, but yes, I want to build a future with you. Christopher kissed her, gentle and sweet and full of promise. Thank you, he whispered against her lips. Thank you for giving me a reason to hope again. Thank you for letting me love you and Sophia. Thank you for being brave enough to trust me. Thank you for showing up that day in the hospital, Brianna said. Thank you for seeing me when I felt invisible. Thank you for never making me feel like I owe you anything. They sat together in the peaceful night, making plans for their future. They'd start looking at houses next month. They'd wait until after Sophia's adoption was finalized to get married. They'd keep building their relationship slowly and carefully, making sure every step felt right. As Brianna went to bed that night, she thought about complications and clarity. Yes, their relationship was complicated. Yes, there were challenges to navigate. But the clarity of their love, the certainty of their commitment, that was simple and strong and real. And that was all that really mattered. Fall arrived with golden leaves and cooler temperatures. Sophia's adoption was finalized on a crisp October morning in a courthouse downtown. Brianna wore a blue dress, Sophia wore her favorite red outfit, and Christopher wore a suit for the occasion. The judge, a kind-faced black woman named Judge Anderson, smiled at them as she signed the final paperwork. Congratulations, she said. You're officially a family now. Sophia launched herself into Christopher's arms. You're my dad now, she said, her voice full of wonder. My real dad. I always was your real dad, Christopher said, his voice thick with emotion. This just makes it official. They celebrated with lunch at Sophia's favorite diner, where she announced to everyone within earshot that she had a new last name now. I'm Sophia Reed, she told the waitress proudly. That's my dad right there. Brianna watched Christopher's face as strangers congratulated him on his daughter. He glowed with happiness, looking more alive and present than she'd ever seen him. This was what healing looked like, she realized. Not forgetting the past but making room for new joy. That evening, after Sophia was in bed, Christopher pulled out his laptop. I want to show you something, he said. On the screen was a beautiful house, a 3-story craftsman-style home with a big front porch and a backyard. I found it last week, Christopher explained. It's in a great school district, walking distance to a park, and there's a community garden nearby that Sophia would love. What do you think? It's beautiful, Brianna said, scrolling through the photos. But Christopher, can we afford this? I can afford it, Christopher corrected gently. And what's mine is yours, Brianna. We're building a family. I want us to have a home that fits all of us, with space for Sophia to grow and room for whatever comes next. Whatever comes next, Brianna repeated softly. She knew what he meant. They talked about marriage, about making things permanent. But so far he hadn't officially proposed. Actually, Christopher said, closing the laptop and taking both her hands, I think it's time I told you about my final wish. We've been through so much together and I've been waiting for the right moment. I think that moment is now. Brianna's heart started racing. Okay. Christopher stood up and, to her complete surprise, got down on one knee. From his pocket he pulled out a small velvet box. Brianna Thompson, my 3 wishes were to learn happiness, to be a father to Sophia, and to be loved by you. You've granted all 3 beyond my wildest dreams. Now I have one more wish, but this one isn't part of our original deal. This one is just a hope, a prayer, a question I need to ask. He opened the box, revealing a beautiful ring. Not ostentatious or huge, just a simple band with a single perfect diamond. Will you marry me? Will you let me spend the rest of my life loving you and Sophia? Will you be my wife, my partner, my family? Will you choose me every day the way I choose you? Brianna was crying, happy tears streaming down her face. Yes, she whispered. Yes, yes, 1,000 times yes. Christopher slipped the ring on her finger and it fit perfectly. He stood up and kissed her, and Brianna felt like her heart might burst from happiness. I love you so much, she said against his lips. I love you too, Christopher said. More than I ever thought possible. You saved me, Brianna. You and Sophia, you gave me a reason to live again. They heard a squeal from the hallway and turned to see Sophia standing there in her pajamas, eyes wide. Did did Dad just propose? You're supposed to be asleep, Brianna said, but she was laughing. I heard talking and came to see, Sophia said, running over to them. So are you getting married? For real? For real, Christopher confirmed, pulling Sophia into their embrace. Is that okay with you? It's the best thing ever, Sophia declared. Can I be a flower girl? Can I wear a fancy dress? Can we have cake? Yes to all of that, Brianna promised. That night, the three of them sat together on the couch, Sophia between them, looking at pictures of the house Christopher wanted to buy. They talked about which room would be Sophia's, where they'd put a Christmas tree, how they'd decorate the backyard. When are we getting married? Sophia asked. We haven't decided yet, Brianna said. Probably in the spring. I want it to be soon, Sophia said. I want us to be a real family now. We already are a real family, Christopher said. The wedding is just a party to celebrate it. Over the next few weeks they made plans. They put an offer on the house, which was accepted. They set a wedding date for late April, 6 months away. They told their friends and family, spreading the happy news. At work, the reaction was mixed. Most people were genuinely happy for them. Patricia hugged Brianna and said, About time. I've been waiting for him to propose for months. Jennifer Rodriguez helped plan an engagement party, and the whole outreach team came to celebrate. But there were still whispers. Still people like Mark Stevens who made comments about gold diggers and opportunistic single mothers. Brianna learned to ignore them. She knew the truth and that was enough. One evening, Christopher's late wife's sister, Elizabeth, came to visit. Brianna had been nervous about meeting her, worried that Elizabeth would resent her for taking Rachel's place. But Elizabeth surprised her with a warm hug. I'm so glad Christopher found you, Elizabeth said. I've been worried about him for 2 years. He was just going through the motions, you know? But now he's alive again. Happy. That's all Rachel would have wanted for him. I'm not trying to replace her, Brianna said. Of course not, Elizabeth said. No one could replace Rachel. But that's not what you're doing. You're writing a new chapter, and that's exactly what Christopher needs. Rachel loved him enough to want him to be happy, even after she was gone. You're making that possible. The conversation meant more to Brianna than Elizabeth probably realized. It gave her permission to love Christopher fully, without guilt or reservation. She wasn't erasing his past. She was helping him build a future. In December they moved into the new house. It was chaos, boxes everywhere, furniture in the wrong rooms, nothing where it should be. But it was their chaos, their mess, their home. Sophia ran through the halls, claiming her room and declaring it the best room ever. Christopher and Brianna collapsed on the couch at the end of the first day, exhausted but happy. We did it, Brianna said. We're homeowners. You're a homeowner, Christopher corrected. I put the house in both our names. It's as much yours as mine. Brianna looked at him, overwhelmed by his generosity. You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did, Christopher said. Because we're partners, Brianna. Equal partners. What's mine is yours and what's yours is mine. That's how marriage works. Their first Christmas in the new house was magical. They got a huge tree and decorated it together, Sophia insisting on putting the angel on top. Christopher's father came to visit, a quiet man in his 70s who'd been thrilled to hear about the engagement and adoption. He brought Sophia presents and told her stories about Christopher as a boy. He's a good man, Christopher's father told Brianna privately. His mother would have loved you. You remind me of her, actually. Strong and kind in equal measure. On Christmas morning, Sophia woke them up at 6, practically vibrating with excitement. Under the tree were presents for everyone. Christopher had gotten Brianna a beautiful necklace, simple and elegant. Brianna had gotten Christopher a watch engraved with their family initials. Sophia received art supplies, books, and a telescope she'd been wanting. But the best present was just being together, the three of them in their home, building memories and traditions. As they made breakfast together, Christopher caught Brianna's eye and mouthed, "I love you." She mouthed it back, her heart full. After the holidays, wedding planning kicked into high gear. They decided on a small ceremony, just close friends and family, at a botanical garden. Sophia would be the flower girl, wearing a dress she'd helped pick out. The color scheme was blue and green, bright and cheerful. "I don't want it to be too formal," Brianna told the wedding planner. "I want it to feel like us, relaxed and happy and full of love." "We can definitely do that," the planner assured her. In February, 3 months before the wedding, Christopher sat Brianna down for a serious conversation. "I need to tell you something," he said. "About money." "Okay," Brianna said, feeling nervous. "I've set up a trust fund for Sophia," Christopher explained. "Enough to pay for her college education and give her a good start in life. I've also put you on all my accounts and insurance policies. If anything happens to me, you and Sophia will be taken care of." "Christopher, you don't have to," Brianna started. "Yes, I do," he said firmly. "You're going to be my wife. Sophia is my daughter. I want to make sure you're both protected no matter what. And Brianna, I need you to understand something. All of this, the house, the wedding, the trust fund, it's not charity. It's not me taking care of you because I feel obligated. It's me taking care of my family because I love you and I want you to feel secure." "I know," Brianna said softly. "I used to worry that I didn't deserve all of this, that I was taking advantage of your generosity. But I've realized that love isn't about deserving. It's about choosing. And you choose us every day." "I do," Christopher said. "And I always will." As winter turned to spring, everything started coming together. The wedding invitations went out. Brianna found her dress, a simple, elegant gown in ivory. The cake was ordered, the flowers arranged, the music selected. But more important than any of those details, they were building a life together. Morning routines where Christopher made coffee while Brianna packed Sophia's lunch. Evening walks around the neighborhood as a family. Weekend mornings spent in bed, Sophia between them, reading books and making up stories. This was happiness, Brianna realized. Not the big dramatic moments but the small everyday ones. The ordinary magic of loving someone and being loved in return. One evening in March, a month before the wedding, Christopher found Brianna standing in what would soon be their bedroom, looking out the window at the backyard. "What are you thinking about?" he asked. "About how far we've come," Brianna said. "A year ago, I was standing in a hospital corridor, completely hopeless. I couldn't save my daughter, couldn't pay my bills, couldn't see any way forward. And now look at us. We have this beautiful home, Sophia is healthy, and I'm about to marry the man I love. It feels like a dream." "It's not a dream," Christopher said, wrapping his arms around her from behind. "It's real. We made it real together. Your strength and my resources, your heart and my hope, all of it combined to create something better than either of us could have had alone." "I love you," Brianna whispered. "I love you too," Christopher said. "And in a month I get to call you my wife. I can't wait." As they stood there watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of pink and gold, Brianna thought about wishes and how they worked. She'd wished for medical treatment, housing, and job security. Christopher had wished for happiness, family, and love. They'd both gotten everything they asked for and so much more. But the real magic wasn't in the wishes themselves. It was in the courage to accept help, the strength to hope when things seemed hopeless, and the willingness to love again after loss. That's what had changed their lives, not money or wishes or chance encounters. It was love, pure and simple. And that was the greatest gift of all. The morning of April 28th dawned bright and clear. Brianna woke up in the guest room of Patricia's house, where she'd spent the night according to tradition. Through the window she could see blue sky and sunshine, perfect weather for a garden wedding. "Nervous?" Patricia asked, bringing her a cup of coffee. "Surprisingly no," Brianna said. "I'm excited. Ready. This feels right." Her phone buzzed with a text from Christopher. "Can't wait to see you. Today's the day we make it official. I love you." She smiled and texted back, "I love you too. See you at the altar." The next few hours were a blur of activity. Hair and makeup, getting into her dress, helping Sophia into her flower girl outfit. Her daughter looked beautiful in a soft green dress with silver shoes, her hair styled in pretty curls. "You look like a princess, Mommy," Sophia said, staring at Brianna in her wedding dress. "So do you, baby," Brianna replied, her heart full. The botanical garden was transformed into something magical. Blue and green ribbons hung from the trees. Flowers bloomed everywhere, creating a natural cathedral. Chairs were arranged in rows, and soft music played from hidden speakers. In the groom's area, Christopher was getting ready with his father and his best man, Timothy Park from the office. He wore a gray suit with a blue tie, looking handsome and nervous. "You okay, son?" his father asked. "I'm better than okay," Christopher said. "I'm marrying the love of my life today. I'm officially becoming Sophia's father. I'm starting a new chapter." "Yeah, Dad, I'm perfect." The ceremony was scheduled for 3 o'clock. As the time approached, guests began arriving. There weren't many, just 75 people, the most important people in their lives. Jennifer Rodriguez and her wife Amanda. The entire community outreach team. Patricia and her husband. Christopher's father. Elizabeth, Rachel's sister, who had tears in her eyes as she took her seat. At 5 minutes to 3, the music changed. Sophia started down the aisle, carefully dropping rose petals with intense concentration. She reached Christopher and whispered loudly enough for the first few rows to hear, "I'm doing good, right, Dad?" "You're perfect, sweetheart," Christopher whispered back, and the guests chuckled. Then the bridal march began and Brianna appeared at the end of the aisle. She'd chosen to walk alone, symbolizing that she was choosing this marriage independently, not being given away like property. But halfway down the aisle, Christopher broke tradition by walking to meet her. They finished the walk together, hand in hand, equal partners. The officiant, a warm woman named Reverend Martinez, smiled at them. "We're gathered here today to celebrate the marriage of Brianna Thompson and Christopher Reed. This is a love story that began in the most unlikely place, a hospital corridor, and has grown into something beautiful and strong. Brianna and Christopher have asked to share their own vows." Christopher went first, pulling out a folded piece of paper. "Brianna, when I met you, I was lost. I'd been going through the motions of life without really living. You changed that. You showed me that healing is possible, that love can bloom again after loss, that hope exists even in the darkest moments. You taught me how to laugh again, how to dream again, how to believe in tomorrow. You gave me the gift of Sophia, a daughter I never thought I'd have. You gave me the gift of yourself, your trust, your heart, your future. I promise to honor that gift every day. I promise to be your partner in everything, to support your dreams, to stand beside you through whatever comes. I promise to be a good father to Sophia and any children we might have in the future. I promise to choose you every single day for the rest of my life. You saved me, Brianna, and now I get to spend forever trying to give you even a fraction of what you've given me." There wasn't a dry eye in the garden. Brianna blinked back tears as she pulled out her own notes. "Christopher, you came into my life when I had nothing left. When I was at my absolute lowest, when I'd run out of options and hope, you saw me. Not my desperation, not my poverty, just me. The person I was underneath all the struggle. You offered help without conditions, kindness without expectations, love without demands. You never made me feel less than. You never used your power or wealth to control or manipulate. You just showed up, consistently and lovingly, until I couldn't imagine my life without you in it. You gave Sophia a father, something I never thought she'd have. You gave me a partner, someone who sees me as an equal even when the world doesn't. You gave us a home, security, and hope. But most importantly, you gave us yourself. Your time, your heart, your presence. That's the greatest gift of all. I promise to love you through good times and bad, through joy and grief, through every season of life. I promise to be your safe place, the person you can always come home to. I promise to keep teaching you about happiness while you keep showing me what unconditional love looks like. Christopher Reed, you are my miracle, my answered prayer, my happily ever after." Christopher was crying openly now, not bothering to hide his tears. Reverend Martinez continued with the ceremony, and they exchanged rings. Simple gold bands, symbols of their commitment. "By the power vested in me," Reverend Martinez said, "I now pronounce you husband and wife. Christopher, you may kiss your bride." The kiss was sweet and full of promise. As they pulled apart, the guests erupted in applause. Sophia ran up and hugged them both, and they lifted her between them, the three of them embracing as a family for the first time as husband, wife, and daughter. The reception was held in a pavilion on the garden grounds. There was dinner, cake, and dancing. Christopher's father gave a touching speech about how proud he was of his son for finding love again. Patricia told funny stories about Christopher's worst business decisions and how Brianna had helped him see what really mattered. Elizabeth spoke about Rachel and how she would have loved Brianna and been happy that Christopher found someone wonderful to love. When it was time for the first dance, Christopher led Brianna to the dance floor. They swayed together to At Last by Etta James, lost in their own world. "We did it," Christopher whispered. "You're my wife now." "And you're my husband," Brianna said. It still feels like a dream. Best dream I ever had, Christopher said, spinning her gently. Later they danced with Sophia between them, the three of them laughing and moving to upbeat music. This was their family, officially and completely. Nothing could change that now. As the sun began to set, casting golden light across the garden, Brianna stood with Christopher watching their guests mingle and celebrate. "Thank you," she said suddenly. "For what?" Christopher asked. "For that day in the hospital," Brianna said. "For not walking away when I spilled coffee on you. For seeing something in me worth saving. For teaching me that accepting help isn't weakness. For showing me what real love looks like." "Brianna, you've got it backwards," Christopher said. "I'm the one who should be thanking you. You saved me far more than I ever saved you. I had money, but I didn't have purpose. I had success, but I didn't have happiness. I had resources, but I didn't have love. You gave me all of that. You gave me a reason to wake up in the morning. You gave me a daughter to raise and a wife to cherish. You gave me a future I couldn't have imagined." "Maybe we saved each other," Brianna suggested. "I think that's exactly what happened," Christopher agreed. 6 months later, Brianna stood in the kitchen of their home, mixing pancake batter while Christopher made coffee. Sophia sat at the table, coloring in her homework assignment about my family. Through the window, early morning sunlight painted everything gold. "Mommy, Dad, look," Sophia said, holding up her drawing. It showed 3 people holding hands in front of a house, with butterflies floating all around them. "That's us. We're the butterfly family." "The butterfly family?" Christopher asked, coming over to look. "Because we all changed," Sophia explained. "Mommy was sad and scared, and now she's happy. You were lonely, and now you're not. And I was sick, and now I'm healthy. We all went into cocoons and came out different. Better. That's what butterflies do." Brianna felt tears prick her eyes. "That's beautiful, sweetheart. And you're absolutely right. We are the butterfly family." Later that morning, Brianna got a call from the community outreach program. A young single father had reached out, desperate for help. His son needed expensive medical treatment, and he'd exhausted all his resources. Could the program help? "Give me his number," Brianna said. "I'll call him personally." That afternoon she met with James Patterson, a Hispanic man in his late 20s with worry lines etched deep around his eyes. He told her his story, and Brianna heard echoes of her own desperation from a year ago. "We're going to help you," she said firmly. "The program will cover your son's medical expenses. We'll help you find stable housing and a better job. You're not alone anymore, James. We're here for you." James broke down crying, overwhelmed with relief. "Why?" he asked. "Why would you help me? You don't even know me." "Because someone helped me once," Brianna said. "And now it's my turn to pay that forward. That's how this works. We receive grace and then we give it to others. That's how we heal the world, one family at a time." As James left the office, hope replacing despair on his face, Brianna thought about the chain of kindness that had started with Christopher's decision to help her. That kindness had rippled outward, touching hundreds of lives through the program. And now it was touching James and his son, who would hopefully go on to help others someday. That evening, as Brianna drove home, she thought about wishes and how they worked. She'd asked for medical treatment, housing, and job security. She'd received all of that and so much more. Christopher had asked for happiness, family, and love. He'd received those gifts beyond his wildest dreams. But the real magic wasn't in the wishes themselves. It was in the courage to ask for help, the wisdom to offer it, and the grace to receive it with gratitude. It was in the choice to hope when hope seemed foolish, to love when love seemed risky, to trust when trust seemed dangerous. She pulled into the driveway and saw Christopher through the kitchen window, helping Sophia with dinner preparation. Her husband, her partner, her love. The man who'd granted her 3 wishes and in doing so, had given her an entire life. She walked inside to the sound of laughter and the smell of cooking food. Sophia ran to hug her. Christopher kissed her hello. This was home. This was family. This was happiness. "Good day?" Christopher asked. "Very good," Brianna said. "We helped another family today. A single dad with a sick son. He reminded me of us, of where we started." "And where are we now?" Christopher asked with a smile. Brianna looked around at their home, at their daughter, at the life they'd built together. "We're exactly where we're supposed to be," she said. "Living our happily ever after." That night, after Sophia was asleep, Brianna and Christopher sat on their back porch under the stars. "Do you ever think about that day in the hospital?" Brianna asked. "About what would have happened if you just walked away?" "Every day," Christopher said. And I thank God I didn't. Spilling coffee on me was the best thing that ever happened to both of us. It really was, Brianna agreed, snuggling closer to him. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the stars and thinking about wishes. 3 wishes each, that's what they'd agreed to. And all 6 wishes had come true, not because of magic or luck, but because of love and kindness and the willingness to help each other heal. Brianna thought about the girl she'd been a year ago, desperate and hopeless in a hospital corridor. She'd come so far. Not just in terms of financial security but in confidence, in peace, in joy. She'd learned that accepting help wasn't weakness. She'd learned that love could bloom in the most unexpected places. She'd learned that happy endings were possible, even after the darkest middles. "I love you," she whispered to Christopher. "I love you too," he whispered back. "Thank you for granting my wishes. For teaching me how to be happy again. For letting me be Sophia's father. For loving me back." "Thank you for granting mine," Brianna said. "For saving Sophia. For giving us stability. For protecting the program so we can help others. For all of it. We make a good team," Christopher said. "The best team," Brianna agreed. As they went inside to bed, hand in hand, Brianna thought about wishes one last time. The real wish, the one that mattered most, hadn't been medical treatment or housing or even love. The real wish had been for hope. For the belief that tomorrow could be better than today. For the courage to keep going when everything seemed impossible. And that wish, more than any other, had come true in ways neither of them could have imagined. Because hope, real hope, wasn't about getting what you wanted. It was about discovering what you needed. And sometimes what you needed was right there all along, waiting in a hospital corridor, hidden in a coffee stain, wrapped up in an unusual offer from a stranger who would become family. That was the real magic. Not wishes granted but hearts healed. Not problems solved but lives transformed. Not endings written but new beginnings discovered. And as Brianna drifted off to sleep in Christopher's arms in their home with their daughter safe down the hall, she knew one thing for certain. This was only the beginning of their story. There would be more challenges ahead, more joys to celebrate, more growth to experience. But they would face it all together as a family. And that made all the difference.